Leadership Awards 2025. Wait for it. Wait for it.
You ready?
KBLA Talk 1580 was recently selected as one of 10 finalists being considered for this prestigious award. Hundreds of organizations, institutions, and even cities were nominated in the selection process. But KBLA Talk 1580 has made it to the finals. You're invited to watch live on Wednesday, April 16th. At 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, as Eco America announces the winner and the runner-up, awarding over $200,000 in prize money. To watch live, just go to ecoamerica.org to register and attend the online ceremony. That's ecoamerica.org. Don't miss the presentation of the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025, Wednesday, April 16th, and wish us luck. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
You know I love music, and every time I hear something hot, it makes me want to move. It makes me want to have fun, but it's something about this joint right here. This joint right here, it makes me want to let it go. Can't let this thing called love get away from you. Feel free right now, go do what you wanna do. Can't let nobody take it away from you, from me, from we. No time for moping around, are you kidding? And no time for negative vibes, cause I'm winning. It's been a long week, I put in my hardest. Gonna live my life, feel so good to get it right. So I like what I see when I'm looking at me, when I'm walking past the mirror. Don't stress through the night at a time in my life, ain't worried about if you feel it. Got my head on straight, I got my vibe right, I ain't gonna let you kill it. See, I would change my life's just fine.
KBLA Talk 1580. We are celebrating Women's History Month, or Black Women's History Month, as I like to call it. And I'm so pleased to be welcoming into the conversation a top scholar. She's an associate professor in the Department of African American Studies at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. Her research areas include modern Black freedom struggle, Black women's studies, Black feminism, and she was selected as a award recipient for a faculty fellowship with the Institute for Advanced Study at the University of Notre Dame and the American Association of University Women Postdoctoral Research Leave Fellowship, among many other honors and accolades. Dr. Mary Frances Phillips, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you in. I love being able to have some actual history in our history months. I think it's so important. And so let's start there. You've written about Ericka Huggins. The book is called Black Panther Woman, The Political and Spiritual Life of Ericka Huggins. A lot has been written about the Black Panther Party and you know, certain figures seem to emerge more than others. We don't hear as much about Ericka Huggins. Why do you think that is, and why did you gravitate towards writing about her?
Yeah, so when we think about the Black Panther Party in general, many people don't know about many women in the Black Panther Party and their contributions. Some people are familiar with those who have autobiographies. That is Elaine Brown's autobiography, A Taste of Power. That is Assata Shakur's autobiography. However, there are so many other women in the organization on the rank and file level and beyond whose voices and contributions and stories we don't know about. I think the fact that we don't know about these women has a lot to do with sexism, on a large level. When you turn on the news, oftentimes the story that we get of the Panthers is often very male-centered. It's very much tied to their uniform, the black beret, the leather jacket, the marching. It's very little on women's contributions. It's very little on the community survival programs, the bread and butter of work of the Black Panther Party, we get this narrative that is rooted in hate and rooted in discrimination and this kind of machismo kind of idea about the Black Panther Party that is so far from the truth. When we think about women's contributions, women were involved in all of the community survival programs. Many of us are familiar, probably most often with the breakfast program, but there were so many more, from a free health clinic. The Panthers had their own school. They had a free shoe program. They had a free clothing program. I can go on and on with the kinds of parallel institutions that the Panthers created, to do the work that they were doing. And so, my interest in Ericka Huggins is really about the power of her story in particular. She was a rank and file member that ascended to the top ranks of the organization. And she ended up getting incarcerated for a crime she did not commit. She was incarcerated for 2 years. And the book really takes up what Black Panther Party organizing looked like behind prison walls. Most people have no idea what that organizing looked like, how she was working with other prisoners to do all of the collective organizing that she was doing, how she was building movements within prison. She was a political prisoner, so she experienced a heightened level of violence. She was segregated from the general population, so she turned to all of these spiritual wellness practices. Oftentimes when we think about the Panthers, we are not thinking about spirituality. We are not thinking about wellness practices, but there are pockets of wellness practices that Panthers were engaged in during this particular time, and we can take this all the way up to the Civil Rights Movement. Stephanie Evans' work takes up Rosa Parks engaged in yoga practices and teaching yoga classes during the Civil Rights Movement. So there was pockets of wellness practices to really help Black Panther Party members and those in the Civil Rights Movement survive the state violence and state repression that they was engaged in every single day as members of the organization.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because, excuse me, when Geronimo Jijaga Pratt got out of prison, one of his first stops, believe it or not, was my radio show, because I had been talking to him when he was in prison. Back then, you could still talk to prisoners. You can't do it now. They won't let you. But I asked him, because he had such a great attitude. His spirit was so joyous. And I thought, man, if I was in the hole for 27 years, I'd be bitter and evil and angry. And he told me he practiced Tai Chi and that he worked out 7 days a week every single day and practiced Tai Chi, meditation, and prayer. And I thought, wow. And I was like, yeah, well, I work out 5 days a week. And he looked at me and said, 7 days a week, sister. So what you're saying, it tracks with what Jijaga told me really literally days after he was released from prison.
That reminds me, it's so parallels with Ericka's experiences, because Ericka Huggins talked about that she's grateful for her time when she was incarcerated, because she came out, a person that was thriving, right? She wasn't kind of the walking wounded. She self-taught herself meditation and yoga while she was incarcerated. And it allowed her to be more grateful, allowed her to be more present, it allowed her to do the work internally to be more fully present, to do the political work when she got out of prison. And while she was incarcerated as well.
That is, to me, it's so admirable. It just takes a kind of mental toughness that most of us don't have.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll delve a little bit more into this book, Black Panther Woman, The Political and Spiritual Life of Ericka Huggins. It's out now. You can get it at a Black bookstore near you as a last resort. You could get it on Amazon. I want to talk about her story and the kinds of research and archival material you had to go through to get to the heart of the story, but also want to look at how it might inform this moment that we're at today. Right when I heard you say Ericka Huggins spent 2 years in prison for a crime she did not commit, and the targeting of activists, as my own father was targeted by the COINTEL actually my mother too, pro initiative, how that might be reiterated or continuing, maybe never really went away. I'm not sure today, and how it might manifest under this current new Confederate MAGA Republican regime. So we'll look at the past and we'll bring it into the future with Dr. Mary Frances Phillips when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580. Who cares about the Black community in Altadena? We do. On Saturday, March 8th at 10 a.m., it's the premiere of Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr. This new weekly show will explore the deep roots and resilience of Altadena's Black community as we track its recovery and reimagine its future. From relief efforts to rebuilding, we're raising up voices, stories, and solutions to build back Black Altadena better and stronger than ever. It's Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr, every Saturday at 10 a.m. beginning Saturday, March 8th, with an encore presentation, Sundays at noon.
James Farr, the man who is the voice for Black Los Angeles.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your Black.
Attention. If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance. And you better watch out, because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
There's new reaction following the Trump administration's sweeping efforts to cut the federal workforce.
Fired but not forgotten. The Testimony Project. Bearing witness, breaking silence, building community. KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to amplifying the voices of Black federal workers impacted by the mass firings. Rooted in the Black tradition of testimony, this initiative ensures that those who served us are not erased from history. Through firsthand accounts, investigative storytelling, and community-driven dialogue, we intend to expose injustice, preserve truth, and demand accountability. If you or someone you know has been forced out of federal employment due to the mass firings, please contact us at info@smileyAudiomedia.com or via the open mic feature on the KBLA 1580 app. We want to hear from you and share your story. KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your Black.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
We're talking with Dr. Mary Frances Phillips, and I kind of feel like being in your job these days is a little bit like being an intellectual freedom fighter, right? Because it seems that Black history is now against the law.
Yeah. It's really insane. The regime we're living through. So much that's been fought for.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly reminded, of course, because I study Black history and culture. I study, resistance. I study social movement history. And, it really is this, I'm reminded of our ancestors and the Panthers and folks in Black freedom struggle that's been fighting, and the struggle really continues.
Yeah, and I appreciate your work. Just checking on you. You okay over there? How are they handling this at your university, at your institution?
Well, they're on the ground. Our state representatives are fighting back. Our institution is resisting. That's good to know.
Yeah, it's a good time to be in Illinois, so I'm glad to hear that. At least that. But thank you, for the work you're doing and for being continually courageous. And also for selecting Ericka Huggins for this research project. I guess your book is the first and only biography of Ericka Huggins, right?
Yes. It's the first scholarly biography on Ericka Huggins, yes.
So talk to me about the process. I was speaking with another scholar a couple weeks ago, and she was taking me through the process of some of these archives and records that you have to hunt down to tell these stories, and how sometimes they are purposely obscured from the public and even from scholars.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Ericka Huggins is there is no particular archival collection that holds all of Ericka Huggins' papers. Pieces of her life lay in many collections, at different universities. And so you also have the issue that Eula Taylor talks about, historian Eula Taylor, the problem posed in finding less. And so because the archives are not fully complete, the archives have gaps. At times I had to turn to my living source for parts of her life or, for information on her life that only she would know. With that, I also use, when you're telling a rendering of someone's life, you have to turn to so many materials, archival materials. And this book does just that, and while it also interweaves a wealth of oral histories. So some of the archival materials that I looked at are prison records, for example, and that was a whole process. Getting her prison records, working with the state of Connecticut to get her prison records. In her prison records was a conduct log in which they literally monitored and documented her every movement, what she said, what she did. And that really told a story about her life in prison. And so I talked to her about, what parts of this is true, what parts are not true. So I'm writing what the state is saying while also writing against the state as well. I'm looking at arrest records. I'm looking at census records, photographs, FBI COINTELPRO documents, trial transcripts, Black Panther Party Oakland Community School papers, Army enlistment records, because her father was in the Army. I'm looking at her high school yearbooks, death records, for those that she did movement work with while she was incarcerated, newspaper articles, and never before published letters that she wrote, in particular to a journalist that attended the trial every day and really served as a person on the outside that helped her do a lot of the movement organizing that she was doing inside prison, as well as oral interviews. For example, I talked to people who had a very close relationship with Ericka Huggins, such as Angela Davis, such as Lennox Hines, who was the Solid Shakur's lawyer, such as attorney John Williams. Connecticut-based famed attorney, to really get an intimate rendering of Ericka's life. I write the book in a way that has a heavy narration style because I want the reader to really go into the moment and really understand what I'm saying and what Ericka was up against when we talk about the state repression and the state violence that she endured, and how, and all of the resistant practices that she turned to, the wellness practices that she turned to help her survive one of the darkest moments of her life. And in doing that, you know, she wrote poetry, she engaged in yoga, meditation, she built, you know, this kind of women's community organizing work with other prisoners. And then when she got her freedom, she took that wellness and meditation and those practices and brought it to her work as director of the Black Panther Party's Oakland Community School. So she had these young elementary age children doing yoga and doing meditation as well.
Mm. Since we started with this work in prison, let's go backwards from there and talk about how she ended up in prison. I think we hear the word COINTELPRO thrown around a lot, but I'm not sure folks really understand what that is.
Yeah, so COINTELPRO was really a system, orchestrated, designed tool that was played out with agents, you know, and a host of state players to really destroy essentially the Black freedom movement, right? Anybody that they viewed as a threat, right? And, you know, that includes feminist organizations, that includes women's organizations, that includes African-American organizations, Native American organizations, but they utilize all kinds of tactics to really destroy these organizations. They would arrest Black Panther members for selling newspapers. They would destroy Black Panther Party offices. They would pay the media to print lies about particular organizations. They would get FBI hire their folks to infiltrate these organizations. They would really try to get other organizations that, you know, for example, when I'm thinking about the Black Panther Party and Mulana Karinga's US organization, and they would try to really insinuate any kind of tension or what have you, try to exacerbate, you know, tensions or even within the organization, exacerbate tensions. So they really, it was this methods that COINTELPRO was really enacting to really destroy organizations. And when we're talking about these organizations that are fighting for our humanity, that they viewed as a threat. This was done by J. Edgar Hoover. And so, you know, it's really important to understand the FBI's COINTELPRO program, and much of what was illegal during the 60s and 70s is now legal through the Patriot Act. So it's important that we understand that. I mean, there were wiretap phones as well. I mean, it was an out-and-out assault, a war against these movements during this particular period.
And this is, as you said, it's coming through the FBI, and the kind of surveillance technology that we have now didn't even exist then. I know there were handwriting letters and, you know, faking a letter from one member to another. They were, you know, cutting people's phone wires, tapping phones, but the kind of drone technology and cyber surveillance and AI facial recognition and all of those tools, so-called tools that they now have, were not in place then. So what would or does something like this look like in today's environment is a pretty scary question.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the world of AI, you know. I mean, the technology is much more advanced, and so this looks much more sophisticated today. on a host of levels. And we have every reason to be concerned about that. And, I'm thinking about all these lawsuits that are happening with, with the state and everything as far as protecting people's privacy, or I should say people's privacy not being protected, and what have you. So, it's something that we should keep in the back of our mind as Black and brown people.
So then talk to me a little bit about the specifics of how Ericka Huggins ends up incarcerated for 2 years.
Yeah, so initially Ericka Huggins, so I'm going to start when she was a student at Lincoln University. She comes across a Ramparts magazine of Huey P. Newton, being strapped to a hospital gurney on charges of killing Officer John Frey. And she was so moved by the story, the image, that, she grabbed her then lover at the time, John Huggins, and drove from Pennsylvania to Los Angeles and joined the Black Panther Party. While she was a member of the Black Panther Party, over time, and I'm fast forwarding it, over time there was a discussion over who would take over the high potential program. When we think about the campus of UCLA, during this time, this is in 1969, who would take over the high potential program. And it was a discussion between the Black Panther Party and Milana Karinga's US organization. Well, during a meeting about this, it kind of reached a turning point, and both organizations were infiltrated, and John Huggins and Bunchy Carter ended up getting killed. Ericka was home alone with her infant at the time. The Panthers came, kind of to support her through this moment. After his state murder, Ericka went to New Haven, Connecticut, which is where John Huggins was from, to bury his body. Community members came to her and asked her, would she open a Black Panther Party chapter? She did just that. The state is still tracking her. When we think about FBI and COINTELPRO, these methods are a part of this ploy that really gets John Huggins and Bunchy Carter killed. When she starts the Black Panther Party chapter in New Haven, she's still getting tracked. The organization gets infiltrated.
Okay, cliffhanger. I'm sorry, Professor. We have to go right into news, traffic, and sports. But we will continue this conversation, this history, this women's history, when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. President Trump is ordering a pause to all military aid to Ukraine. In a statement, a White House official said that Trump had been clear that he's focused on peace and that our partners need to be as well. This could have a negative effect on the at least 30,000 Africans currently living in Ukraine. A major storm will bring blizzards to Kansas, Nebraska, and Colorado, and possibly tornadoes with damaging winds from Dallas to Oklahoma City this week. 4 Democratic mayors will testify before the House Oversight Committee on Wednesday about immigration policy facing expected criticism from GOP members for not cooperating with federal authorities. They include Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson and Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams. And ratings for the Academy Awards are down from last year. Just over 18 million people tuned in to ABC's broadcast Sunday, a 7% drop from 2024. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The CONCACAF Nations League Finals arrive at SoFi Stadium March 20th through the 23rd. USA versus Panama, followed by Canada versus Mexico. Get your tickets now on Ticketmaster. For more information, visit CONCACAFNationsLeague.com/tickets.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The USC women's basketball team was given its highest ranking in 39 years. USC moved up to number 2 in this week's Associated Press Top 25 poll. The last time USC was ranked second in the country was on January 5th, 1986. USC, led by Compton All-American Juju Watkins, is 26-2. The rest of the top 5, Texas at number 1, followed by number 3 UConn, number 4 UCLA, and South Carolina. UCLA finished the regular season 27-2. Both losses were to USC. USC and UCLA have byes in the first 2 rounds of the Big Ten tournament, which begins Wednesday in Indianapolis. USC is the number 1 seed in the tournament. UCLA is number 2. The Trojans and Bruins played their first games on Friday. The Lakers are going for their 7th straight win tonight. They played New Orleans at Crypto.com. The Lakers haven't had a 7-game winning streak since February 12, 2021. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
There's new reaction following the Trump administration's sweeping efforts to cut the federal workforce.
Fired but not forgotten. The Testimony Project. Bearing witness, breaking silence, building community. KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to amplifying the voices of black federal workers impacted by the mass firings. Rooted in the black tradition of testimony, this initiative ensures that those who served us are not erased from history. Through firsthand accounts, investigative storytelling, and community-driven dialogue, we intend to expose injustice, preserve truth, and demand accountability. If you or someone you know has been forced out of federal employment due to the mass firings, please contact us at info@smileyAudiomedia.com or via the open mic feature on the KBLA 1580 app. We want to hear from you and share your story. KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your back.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce, spruce, spruce.
It's Spruce, the new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day. Find Spruce wherever weed killers are sold.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified
Western
students.
Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-511-2112. That's 800-511-2112. 800-511-2112.
Broadcasting live from Lamert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio, KBLA Talk 1580.
She's got her PhD in African Studies from Michigan State University, an MA in African American and African Studies from Ohio State, and a BS in Health Studies from Michigan State University. Uniquely prepared for these times is Dr. Mary Frances Phillips, author of Black Panther Woman, The Political and Spiritual Life of Ericka Huggins. So you were telling the events that led up to Ericka Huggins being incarcerated for 2 years, and she was about to start a new chapter of the party when she went back to bury John Huggins.
Yes, and let me say, please keep in mind that prior to this, not only did Ericka lose her husband and her comrade, as well, John Huggins and Bunchy Carter. You know, she's 21 years old at the time,
Wow.
at this time. And she experienced this assault. She experienced so much state repression right after they were murdered by the police. The police surrounded her home that she shared with other Panther members. They ordered her to come out of her home. She had her baby in her arms, wrapped in a big winter coat to protect her baby, and they put a gun to her baby's head. While they were taking her to identify John's body, they called her all kinds of nasty names, racist names. The kind of verbal assault that she experienced from the police was just horrific, right? She ended up getting placed in jail, right, at Sybil Brand Institute and was released 8 hours later. And it really teaches us that the inhumanity of the police officers ensured no age or gender was immune to state violence, And so, again, she's 3,000 miles, when 2 days after her release, she found herself 3,000 miles away with her infant on the other side of the country to bury John Huggins' body in the hometown of New Haven. And then the community member said, hey, can you open a Black Panther Party chapter? But before she could get settled into her new life, the state of Connecticut charged her with multiple felonies. Now, keep in mind, this is just 18 weeks after losing John Huggins, and she was accused of kidnapping, murder, and conspiracy to commit murder of fellow Black Panther Party member Alex Rackley. And that is what led her to her incarceration for 2 years. And she didn't indeed do it. And so she did end up getting her freedom. There was a mistrial. But that's what led to her incarceration for 2 years.
And when you talk to her now, you're using all of this archival material, you're doing your own research and your own interviews. When you talk to Ericka Huggins now, how does she reflect back on that period, or did you get a chance to talk to her about that period of time?
Oh, yeah. So this book took me 10 years to write.
Wow.
What
a journey.
Right. I talked to Ericka extensively, right? We had these sustained oral history sessions. Like I mentioned earlier, the archive was limited. So I had to turn to her for parts about her life and her family and her experiences. And I wanted to know what she was experiencing during that time that's not in the archival documents, that she could give us some insight on what was she feeling, how does she talk about this period? And essentially, because she self-taught herself and did such spiritual internal work from the inside out, she talks about this period as particularly incarceration as being grateful for that period, because she came out a well person. She came out a person that did all of the kind of spiritual work that she needed to do. And part of the reason why she did that is she wanted to, so John Huggins' mother would bring her daughter to visit her once a week on a Saturday for an hour. And she wanted to be fully present for her daughter. She didn't want to be sad. She didn't want to be broken. She didn't want to be wilted. She wanted to be fully present. She wanted to be happy for her daughter. And so that was part of her motivation to turn to her spiritual wellness practices. That is meditation. That is yoga. That is, I talk about, she was incarcerated with several other Black Panther Party women, and I argue that they participated in a wellness rhythm during their incarceration as political prisoners. Some of these women were pregnant. They were getting denied proper prenatal care. Food was used as a punishment. At times when the food was slightly edible, which is rare, they would give the pregnant women the better parts of the food. One of the Black Panther Party women had arthritis really bad, and the cold cement floor of the prison, the ground, made her arthritis worse. And so at times, other Panther women, would carry her around and really took care of each other. And that was an extension of Ericka's work as well. And then when she was moved to the general population, she was well enough, within herself to extend that movement work and build women's community initiatives, building initiatives with other women she was incarcerated with, and that is she started a hair salon. They, redid their prison uniforms, and that was a way to restore femininity because it stripped away from you was in prison. When you were in prison, they started a women's bail fund to help women who were about to get out of prison and they needed a little bit of money, $100 and $200. And so there's a host of things. She wrote many letters to get women the kinds of support and resources that they need. With families, she would say, hey, so-and-so is not doing well. Could you get her family to come visit her? She needs prenatal clothes. She needs this. She needs a lawyer. And so the letter writing became a political force to help her do a lot of this movement work that she was doing while she was incarcerated.
One of the things that I find remarkable about the stories of people, women, I mean, I know you focus on women, but people in general who were involved with the Black Panther Party, is that they have this lifelong sustainable commitment. You just don't see people backing off of it or having regrets or pivoting, as we say now, despite these hardships and sacrifices that they have endured.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. There is a resilience that is built, that is maintained. And I think for Ericka in particular, she had the motivation of her daughter, she had the motivation of her children, and she did not want to be wounded. She wanted to come, when she came out of prison, she went straight back to work, doing work for the Black Panther Party, almost like it never stopped. And it really didn't, because when she was incarcerated, she was still doing this Black Panther Party work. It looked differently, but it was the same kind of work inside prison. And Ericka always, as well as many other Panther women and the women that, was in the general population with her, they're reading revolutionary literature. They're speaking back against, assaults by correctional officers. They are asking them to defend these rules that they attempted to enforce. They're advocating for themselves within the prison. They're resisting. So it is a story about prison resistance.
Yeah, Black Panther Woman, The Political and Spiritual Life of Ericka Huggins. It's out now. We can and I would suggest should buy it just to support the work, if nothing else, but certainly to add to our own resources to shore up our own courage and inspiration in this moment in history. We're talking with Dr. Mary Frances Phillips. We'll continue the conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I found out that one of my players was vaping. I brought him in and asked him, where did this stuff come from? He said, it's bigger than you think, coach. He had told me that almost everybody in my team was vaping. The next day, all the parents came in, and I said, hey, you as parents need to do your part. You guys need to figure out how, why, and when this stuff is happening, and we got to get it fixed.
Coach Sanchez and his team took vaping head-on. Learn how he and other Californians are beating big tobacco at undo.org.
Fatherhood includes being present during pregnancy, delivery, and beyond, supporting your partner and advocating for your baby's health. Black fathers play a key role in reducing maternal and infant health inequalities. Join the free AIM Fatherhood Program and make a difference. Visit blackinfantsandfamilies.org/fatherhood.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Black Panther Woman, the political, spiritual life of Ericka Huggins is out now. Dr. Mary Frances Phillips is my guest this hour. We started off talking about how conversations, discussions, movies, books about the Black Panther Party typically focus on not just the men in the party, but sort of this masculine imagery. And that's not a complete picture. The power, the contributions, the courage of women like Ericka Huggins is something that you wanted to capture. It's one of the reasons you wrote this book. Talk to me about what that looks like in a broader sense, just beyond Ericka Huggins herself. And when, you are a feminist scholar, how you would categorize or characterize is what I mean, feminism in that context. When what we typically hear of is, women taking a more background role.
Well, that is certainly not true in the context of the Black Panther Party. I argue in the context of the Black freedom struggle. I don't situate women as part of the backbone. I hear that rhetoric a lot, and I think it's actually not adequate. Women were on the front lines. Women were front and center. And that language really speaks to this kind of internalized sexism that we've adopted in our language. But women were at the front of the struggle. You can see women's hands. When you go to the archives, you see women's hands on all of those papers, right? Women in particular were critical. They were central to movement work during this particular period. When we look at an organization like the Black Panther Party, it was a period of time where women made up the bulk of the organization. Many people don't know that. Many people don't talk about that. Women were also, when we think about women being pregnant, they were also immune, even pregnant, to state violence, right? Getting arrested, getting abused by the state, getting neglected once they're in prison, right? And the kind of state violence that they endured, And so the book tells a story. It's not just so many women come out of Ericka's story, right? From women, from other Black Panther Party women who were incarcerated with her and their experiences, to other women that were in the general population that was incarcerated with her. There's so many women's stories when we think about political activism. So it's really not true, this idea that women were at the backbone of the movement, because they were in the front and center,
I'm laughing because I'm thinking about the moment we're in now, where there's a lot of conversation about the 92% and how Black women are tired of saving America, saving the Democratic Party, and it's really not logical to think that somehow Black women who have been a force in Black liberation since we needed it would just suddenly stand down during the heart of the civil rights movement.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just not true. And it makes me think of the rhetoric today. And I've been asked this question a lot, and I understand Black women feeling exhausted in this contemporary moment, right? The weight of the world on us. When we think about the Black freedom struggle, when we think about the Black Panther Party, when we think about all of the organizations during the Black Power movement and the Civil Rights movement, there was constant engagement. There was no, like, I'm exhausted now and I'm not going to kind of do this work. There was, when it came to being a Black Panther member, that was a 24-hour job, right? And so there was complete, full dedication to the work. It was no, I'm exhausted and we're going to kind of take some time off. I understand where it comes from in this particular moment. But when it comes to the Panthers, when it comes to these organizations that we're studying in the Black Power movement, that logic just didn't happen.
To be honest with you, I'm hoping my interpretation of we're exhausted, we're taking time off is not that we're taking time off from the movement. We're taking time off from saving you, and we're going to save ourselves and our children. That's how I interpret it. But hopefully, hopefully that's what it is. Because, you can't really take a vacation from your liberation, I don't think.
Right, exactly. And Ericka teaches us, and this whole book and the movement itself teaches us that when we are serving ourselves, when we're doing the kind of spiritual wellness, self-care work, whatever that is for you, I see this book as a toolkit for activists, for freedom fighters, for students, because it really gives us a framework to understand what does that internal work look like, right? It's the case study of the women of the Black Panther Party and Ericka, but whatever works for you, right? For Ericka, it was poetry, it was meditation, it was letter writing, but it could be many other things that feed your soul, that's doing the soul work, but understanding that work also has that soul work that we can call it, has an intimate connection to our political practices as well. It goes hand in hand. You can't separate the two, right? And so we have to do the work of healing ourselves from past wounds, from past harm that we've experienced, and be able to connect with each other spiritually to do the work that we need to be on the ground to do the political work. All of this is political work. It's not separated.
You're right. Black Panther activism is a practice of care and belonging to empower communities, and that the Black Panther Party's mission was fundamentally concerned with communal care and restorative justice. You want to go a little deeper into that?
Yeah, so when we think about all of the Black Panther Party's community programs, we're all about feeding the mind, the body, and the soul. When I talk about spiritual wellness practices, I'm talking about spiritual practices that integrate the mind, the body, and soul. So when we think about the breakfast program, when we think about the bread and butter practical community programs that the Panthers had from the school, they are tapping into our basic needs. They are serving our basic needs, human needs that we need to survive and thrive in society. And in doing that, they are connecting the mind, the body, and the soul, right? And they are restoring our communities. And those programs are all about care, all about feeding the soul, if you will, tending to our full humanity. So that's what I mean when I say that.
We had someone who couldn't stay on the line who wanted to know, how can we get your book into more libraries?
So it's with New York University Press, and so the press is working with many of these university libraries to get them in the libraries. But you can also call your library and request that the book, if they don't have it, request that they get the book in their catalog as well.
Dr. Mary Frances Phillips, what are we missing in this moment, or that this book might, inform us or bring us to?
I think the book adds a more complete story to understanding the Black Panther Party, right? And I'm hoping that those who read it feeds their soul and they see it as a way to help give you tools, help give you ideas, help give you strength and practical strategies to help you survive and take care of yourself, right? With the tools that are within your space. I think of Audre Lorde, and when we talk about the kind of kitchen table politics, right? A feminist Frances Bill talks about that's within your space that you can turn to help fill your cup, to keep you nourished and to keep your soul and to heal ourselves from traumas that we've had so that we can be fully present to do the political work that's needed within our capacity.
Just almost out of time here. I wanted to ask you to share what Ericka Huggins is up to today. Molly Bell in the chat says, how old is she now, and does she know her historical importance?
So she's over 75 now, and she absolutely knows her historical importance. I believe she's very aware of her contribution in the movement, and what her work has done, right? When we think about the Black Panther Party and we think about women in the movement as well.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you, Dr. Mary Frances Phillips. How can we track you? How can we keep track of your work and find you online?
So I invite you to visit my website, maryfrancesphillips.com. It has all my speaking engagements. It has work that I'll be doing next. And so that's where you can find me. I'm also on all social media platforms, so you can find me on there as well.
Under your actual real name?
Yes, under my actual real name, Mary Frances Phillips, absolutely.
And no undercover scholars here. Okay. Well, I really appreciate the conversation. Thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thank you for inviting me. I had a lovely time.
Yes, indeed. We shall have to do it again. The book is out now. Let's put some women's history, actual authentic women's history in our Women's History Month. Black Panther Woman, The Political Spiritual Life of Ericka Huggins. Tavis Smiley's up next. You know that. He's got a full menu for you of scholarly thoughts and opinions, knowledge and information. So that is coming up next. I wanted to quote Ericka Huggins since we've been speaking about her this hour. Her quote is, "Love is an expression of power. We can use it to transform our world." You can find me also on all social media platforms at DiPrima Radio, DiPrima, and then radio, of course, KBLA 1580 is everywhere as well. We appreciate you liking, following, subscribing, and commenting. This conversation continues around the clock, whether I'm on the mic or not. Don't forget to join me tomorrow. We'll have some riveting conversations, including one with Dr. Ernesto Castañeda, who was a high official with USAID. Tavis Smiley is up next. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. President Trump is ordering a pause to all military aid to Ukraine. In a statement, a White House official said that Trump had been clear that he's focused on peace and that our partners need to be as well. This could have a negative effect on the at least